If you want to work from home, do this. Now this is part 2 of 2. Hey guys, welcome back. If you haven't watched part 1 of this series, I'm gonna put a link below. You can go down there, click that link, make sure you watch that video too, because that goes along with this. Now working at home, well, you know, that's really grown. A lot of people are doing that now, and with the COVID-19 thing, a lot more people did it. There are dangers and pitfalls of working at home, and in the second part I want to talk about some of those things and some of those bad things that can happen. Hey, if you're new to my channel, I'm JR Fisher. Nice to meet you. Why don't you join the family? Hit that subscribe button down there. Don't forget to turn on notifications, ring that bell down there, turn on all notifications, and that way when I do a video you will actually be notified. You'll be part of the VIP Fisher family. We want to have you part of that, so make sure you do that. Now, have you worked from home, or are you curious about working from home? Have you had some problems working from home? I know we all do. Put that in the comments below, and if you have any questions about any of this, please put it in the comments below. I'd love to get your comments. Okay, let's face it, working from home, well, that's pretty cool. I mean, being able to work when you want, where you want, how you want, that's all really good, but I gotta tell you, as soon as you Google work from home or make money at home, there's a lot of scams out there, guys. There are a lot of scams. Now, I've been working online since 2009, and I've literally generated millions of dollars in both digital and physical products, and I gotta tell you, I hear a lot of horror stories. I hear a lot of people who invest money to make money online and they never get any return. They get ripped off. They don't really learn anything. So the first thing I would tell you is research who you're talking to. Now, I do sell courses and I do training, but I also sell products online, so you can look me up online. You can type in JR Fisher Survival Cave Food or one of my courses, and you're going to see results from that. So make sure whoever you're getting advice from, whatever job you're going for, you know, there are a lot of job scams out there too, guys. Probably for every legitimate work at home job, there's probably 100 that are illegitimate. Okay, they're illegal, or they're not going to make you any money. So you got to be really careful in doing that. What I want to do in this video is kind of look through at all these things that we can do online and some of the pitfalls, and the pitfalls basically of working online, because there's certainly some of those too. Now, first off, if you're going to work for a company, you got to figure out if you're going to be a contractor or if you're going to be an actual employee. You also want to make sure that that company has a presence. In other words, they've got social media, they've got a web page, they've got phone numbers, they've got a physical address, because without any of those things you don't really know how to check them out. So I would tell you to be really cautious if they don't have any of those things. Now, if they're calling it a job and they're saying, yeah, you can work for our company, you can work remote at your house, you know, look for little red flags. Like if they're not requiring you to fill out an application and go through an interview process, that's a red flag right there, because if you're not doing that, that means that they're pretty much going to take anybody, and if they're going to take anybody, there's got to be a catch to that. So you got to make sure, if they're saying it's a real job and you're really going to go work for them and they're really going to give you money, that they're doing the things that a real job, you know, or at their place of business would do. So, you know, if I'm hiring you to work in a building every day and come to this building, I'm going to interview you. I'm going to ask you to fill an application. I'm going to know something about you. And if they're not asking you to do things like that, well, that's a red flag, and you got to watch out. Also, if you're going to work for somebody, find out who's going to incur the cost of working at home. Some of you may say, well, it won't cost me anything to work from home. Well, it does. It costs you internet connection, it costs you electricity, it may cost you a laptop or a desktop computer. And are they going to want you to use your own equipment, or are you going to get equipment from them? So those are big things too to look at. So even though you aren't commuting to a job, there are going to be pitfalls. There's pitfalls of, you know, having 4 walls around you all day too. You know, you wake up and you go to work in the same place that you sleep and you eat, and you know, that can wear you down after a while. I know I don't like doing that. I like getting away. I like going to a Starbucks or going to the ocean front or going to a park. I like to get away from my home. I don't want to be in my home 24 hours a day. Now, during the pandemic, I was forced to do that, okay, and I can do that, and it's not horrible. It's just not what I prefer to do. And there were a lot of people who during the pandemic, you know, had to go to work. You know, they were delivery drivers, they were working in, you know, restaurant fast food that, you know, was still making food get delivered. They were working in healthcare, they were delivering things. So all of those jobs were actually forced to go, and I'm sure a lot of those people, if you asked them, would you have liked to stay at home, they probably would have said, yeah, we didn't want to go to work, but we had to do it because we had to earn a living. So working at home can have its downfalls, and it's going to affect people differently depending on what your personality is like. The first thing I'm going to tell you is stick to a work schedule. That is so very important. Have certain hours that you're going to work. I know sometimes I have interruptions. Sometimes at lunch I'll turn on the TV, you know, when I'm working at home, and I'll see a show or something like that, and I've got to shut that show off. I got to say, hey, this is a work day. I got to get back to work. I can't sit here and do this. That show is going to be there, and you know, so much more nowadays than ever before. Whatever show you're watching, it's going to be recorded. Okay, it's going to be on demand. It's going to be something you can always watch later. So don't get sidetracked. Because you're at home, it's very easy to do that. There's a lot of distractions that you wouldn't have if you were in an office. In addition to that, whatever your work hours are, make sure that the kids and the rest of your family, you know, anybody, your friends, know that that's your work hours. They think that, well, the person's home, so I can go see them, I can talk to them, I can call them, and you got to let them know that you're devoting this time to your actual job. Okay, tell your husband, your wife, your kids, you know, that you have to work during this period of time. You can't do other things when you're supposed to be working, because if you do that, you're going to get off track and you're not going to be productive. Now, there's also upsides to it. There's upsides to the fact that you'll get to see your kids during the day. You'll get to see your loved ones during the day, and that's kind of cool, and you know, you can interact. You know, so many people will go to work on a job, and they may, you know, have an 8 or 9 hour day, but it takes them an hour there, an hour back, and they're gone 12 hours a day, and they have to do this for 30 or 40 years, and they kind of lose touch with that person that's at home. When they finally do retire or whatever, and they come home, they don't know how to interact anymore, because they've lived basically 2 separate lives for so long. So you do have that advantage of, you know, everybody grows, everybody changes over the years. You have that advantage of actually growing together and changing together, even though it's not always in the same direction. You're going to have different interests, of course, but the advantage is that you can spend time with that person you care about. Now, the flip side to this of working at home and not working enough is what? Working too much. Working too much can get you, right? If you've set up an office in your bedroom and you roll out of bed and you go over to that desk and you just start working, and then you work and work and work, and then all of a sudden it's nighttime and you just get up from your desk and go back to the bed, you can turn into a workaholic very easily. So if you can separate your work area from your sleep and relaxation area, it's a pretty good thing to do. Now, some people can separate that in their head and they don't have a problem with that. Others don't. So since everybody's different, I'm telling you, you could do one of two things. You could either become a workaholic, or you could not get much done because of the home environment. So you got to be real careful and see which camp you fall in and make adjustments accordingly. It is true that a lot of people that work at home will tend to have more of a 5 or 6 hour day instead of an 8 hour day. I don't. I work more than that. However, some people do, and it makes sense, because if you're working in a building somewhere or in an office setting, there's a lot of interruptions that take pieces out of your day, and you know, you have to spend more time at that location to actually get the work done. Now, I know we all think, well, I'm gonna save so much money by being home, I don't have to worry about so much. But if you've got a business or you're working for somebody else, you know, you've got to have certain equipment. You're gonna have an increased cost on internet, I can tell you that right now. Not just the fact that you're gonna be using it more, but you really need a higher speed internet. You may have the cost of furniture. You may have to have a desk, a chair like what I have here. That's gonna cost you money. You may have to have a laptop or a desktop, something along those lines. All those things can cost you extra money. Now, keep in mind, even if you work at home, and yes, you can write off working at home, but you can only write off a certain amount of space in your home. So it's not like you can write off your entire mortgage or your rent payment just because you're working at home. You'll want to check with your accountant on the percentages, but keep in mind, it's really only the work area that you use. Now, the IRS is going to tell you that even if you use a particular utility, such as internet access, such as, you know, electricity, you can't write off 100% of that particular utility. You can only write off the percent that is used for business. And you got to get an accountant. You know, I had somebody contact me the other day, and they sent me a message online, and they said, you know, I see so many people working online. Do I really need a business license to work online, or is that really not a thing that I need? Yeah, you know, if you've got a business and it's a business online, you're going to need a business license. You're probably going to need a federal tax ID number. You're probably going to need a local business license. You may even need some state credentials. So there's a lot of fees that you're going to have to pay that you wouldn't have to pay if you were driving to some job somewhere. If you have your own business at home, there's a lot of local fees that you're going to end up paying. Now I'll tell you, working from home is great. We have a couple warehouses where we manufacture things and ship them out, but they're not in the same state I'm at, so I technically work from home, but I do have an office down the street. Occasionally I'll go there. The bottom line is it's great to work from home, but understand there's some pitfalls. You know, if you go into this with your eyes open and you realize that there can be issues, you realize there can be problems, you realize there can be expenses, then you're going to be much more prepared to deal with those things when you're first going into it. I really appreciate you listening to this. I really appreciate you watching this video, and I know some of you out there will still have questions, and I want you to feel free to contact me in the comment section below. You can actually post a question, and when you post that question down there, I'll check it out. If I can answer it, I will do so. If it's about, you know, making money online, that's fine. If it's about working from home, that's fine. Whatever it is that's related to generating an income online, I'll be happy to help you out with. In addition to that, I put together an e-commerce course. It's a $97 course. However, you can get it for free. All you got to do is look down into the description of this particular video. There's going to be a line down there and it's going to say free course. You click on that line, no credit card required, and you can actually go through that course absolutely free. Now if you haven't done so, listen, you got to do this. If you haven't subscribed yet, you got to hit that subscribe button down there. It's a big button that says subscribe, and I mean, you got to hit it. You just got to do it. And next to that there's a bell that looks like this. It sounds like this. You got to click the bell, then you got to turn on all notifications. That way you're part of the VIP group. It gets notified as soon as I do one of these videos. You don't have to go searching for it, and you won't miss a thing. I really appreciate you listening to this video. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click that little bell right there so you can be notified every time I do a new video. Also, click on one of those videos there. Keep watching on my channel.